Ahoy there, gremlin peasants! Your worst nightmare, Rainhet, is here to teach you the way of the rainbow again. Hold on to your seats. This is the reason people don't touch 3D models with a 3-foot pole. At first I was afraid. I was petrified. Kept thinking I could never hold a rig without your side. But then I spent so many nights crying cause my weight paint's wrong. Tone strength too strong. Face the fall, culprit all along. The class is back, taking up space. I just walked in. How to weight paint your model in Blender. I know this looks tricky, but if you watched the rigging basics video, I'd like to think you're entering this with some pretty good basic knowledge. Take your fist and put it in your mouth. Go watch my rigging basics video, okay? Otherwise things will happen. Right, let's take a look at this model, shall we? We finished off last time putting all the bones in, naming them all correctly, and assigning the armature. So let's start with the body. That seems one of the best places to start as far as complications go. If we look to the right, we'll see that there's mirror, subdiv, and there's an armature on it. We do like the armature though. Go to armature, control click on the body, and then weight paint mode. You'll see that it shows the subdiv, well, the model before the subdiv is applied to it. So what you can start doing is first making sure that your setup is correct, so none of these are checked on, no paint mask, no vertex selection, we don't want that. We want to go to tool, I'll go to symmetry, we want mirror vertex on, X mirror on, we don't want topology mirror on, no topology mirror, and we do not want, yes, we don't want auto normalize because that can give us a lot of hiccups. What we can start doing is going over the bones, setting your weight to 1, strength to 1, and brush to add. We can start doing this type of thing. We see the back view. It didn't paint all the way through, so let's change the setting. Let's turn off front faces only, and let's turn fall off to projected. And I should be able to paint through now. We can go over the model, just doing this kind of thing. And it will paint through to the other side. Here, doing a similar thing. Because of our setup, should also mirror on this side. Now keep in mind that I haven't turned the mirror off. These are my settings. So it should do this automatically. It should do this automatically. I know I said that last time, but this time it really should. We can just go over the body doing these shapes. Just wherever the bones are. The neck would obviously be across. It would be a little hard to see with the head in the way, so I'm sure you can take that off if you really want to. The chest, remember we've already done the shoulders, so it'd be more of a this shape. Oops. Because it's mirror, you can't paint on the side, which technically speaking doesn't have anything there, technically speaking. Right. And that's all messed up too. Well, let's see which one of these are carried on to the leg. Also, another easy way to see is if we go to viewport overlays and then 0 weights and then do active. Yeah, active will do. You'll be able to tell either which one of your bones is moving on to the leg, for example. So not that, not that. There we go. Brush, subtract. Here. You'll be able to see even the tiniest bit that's moving on to the rest of the body. So all the fingers are done for now. And I believe the rest of the body is done too. If we grab the hips, just press G, see that there are some parts that are not rigged properly. So let's just bring this down. By the way, if you don't know, I'm pressing G, and then left clicking to leave it there. Let's grab this, just blur using this blur brush here. Just blur it to get it to move where you want it to. It's not working too kindly. Okay, there we go. We can go to cat stop pose mode. And we'll be able to take advantage of all the extra shapes that we have here. Okay. So let's go to the body again. And we'll apply the mirror modifier for now. So we can apply the subdivision modifier and we can add a mirror modifier back. Let's put this above the armature. Let's turn it off here at real time. We'll turn it off. Then we'll go to edit mode and we'll alt and select click, mine is the right click, and then we'll start hiding the middle line. H to hide. Now let's select the left side and X delete vertices, and then we'll alt hide on the middle line, and then we will turn on the mirror modifier again using this television button. Right. Let's go to object mode and let's remember to save as well. Armature, control click on the body. Edit mode. Oops. Weight paint mode. Can grab this. Object mode. Let's go to armature, pose mode. Let's turn on symmetry right here by the butterfly. Then we'll armature, control click on the body, weight paint mode, and we'll try to allow this body to move in a way that is not so blocky. This is what happens when you don't carefully choose your weight paint. So I'm going to use this blur tool a lot, and now that everything's been applied, I'll be able to be a bit more specific about it. Use that. We're going to smooth this out a little bit. Oh, let's do full off projected. That will probably help. Let's do add and turn the strength down. What I'm trying to look for is a more or less straight across line. I think this is a good place for the shoulder to be as well, so I'm not going to mess with that at the moment. I might need to change it later down the line. Okay, the chest. I want to smooth this under the arm. Smooth around the neck. Why does that keep happening? I'm gonna check. Control click on the body. Yeah, this kind of shape is what you don't want to see a lot of. So let's take away some of this. Subtract. Might need to adjust the shape too. Definitely could just this down a lot more. Let's try to add some more to here. The thing about teaching weight paint is the concept is extremely easy, it's just the execution is a lot of going back and forth. See, for example, this is way too dramatic here, so I would subtract a bunch of this. And then very slightly blur these so it's a bit more rounder. Also might have to adjust this here. So if we click on the body and go to edit mode, you can try editing the mesh like this so it can hopefully bend a bit better. And this might help too. Let's go to object mode. Armature, control click on the body, weight paint. See, little edits like that make quite a big difference. The back doesn't look too bad at the moment. Okay. So that's what it means to go into detail about how things are bending. The shoulders don't look too bad, and neither do the arms. Now what I usually like doing is bending these outwards and looking on how the elbow bends. So RZ, bending this axis, and we will observe. We definitely want this to be red, this line here. So we'll change it to add, put the strength up. Let's turn this red. Definitely want that to be red. And this, we want this line to definitely be red. We might have to bring them close together. If you remember the rigging basics video when I looked at the shapes, the best bend is when these two parts, these fatty parts, are closer to each other. So let's subtract this, actually. Oops, that's not subtract. Subtract this so it can be fatter. It's very difficult to vocalize what I'm doing here. I'm realizing how things are bending, and I'm thinking, what can I do to make it bend better, or make it move in a more natural way. So the wrist, for example, let's look at how it moves from side to side. It's very wonky, which doesn't look very good. So let's have a look at the arm, for example. It comes down far too much. So we'll start subtracting this here until we get to the bone area. Can even add some parts back, depending on how they look. And do some mild smoothing with the blur. We get the wrist, and we do the same thing. Go to subtract. Make sure it looks half decent. Oops, let's turn that to add. And you'll start doing this all over the body, basically. If something doesn't look right, you go in, check the details, add, subtract until it moves better. You just keep going. You see that the movement is a bit better, but it's also very stiff, so a little bit of blurring seems to help the stiffness. I already said. Can do this kind of thing. This kind of thing. Now that bone might need to be changed position in order to make it move a bit better, but for now it's fine. My main concern would be this shape going outwards. This will be the point where we turn on front face only and fall off to sphere. Because now we want to work on both the front and back of the thumb. And now, because of this fat thing that we made earlier, it can move a bit more naturally. Move the fat, stretching and squishing. All the muscle, whatever it is that's there, I don't know anatomy. Let's bend this here and realize that I don't like where it bends from. Yep. So I would go back into the armature and adjust where that bone is. See, I want it to bend from here, but it's bending from up here. So I'd stop pose mode, go to armature, edit mode, click that bone, numpad full stop, and adjust where this bone is. So that's a bit high, so we're just gonna G, drag it down, and I hope it looks good from those angles. Object mode, armature, control click on the body, weight paint. Alright, let's take a look at the thumb again. Let's see if this bends any better. Okay, it's kind of still a little high, just a little bit. So let's not stop pose mode. Let's go to object mode, armature, edit mode. This I like better. You can see it. It's moving a lot better from that angle. Okay, we want to try to keep the volume of this as much as possible, so let's work on it from this bone. Subtract. Because this is squishing the thumb, as you can see. Once you start getting rid of stuff, let's turn off front faces. I can paint through. Gotta be careful here. Let's blur, let's do front faces only, and sphere, so I can take some of the sharpness off that. Even though I don't mind the shape of that, I'm still gonna edit the mesh. Okay, so let's save, let's numpad 1, let's click on the body, go to edit mode, and let's adjust the thumb a little bit. So this shape is fine, the bone might need to be in a different place, but we want this to be brought up a little bit, so just double tap G, drag it up. That should help with keeping the thumb fat. we want to keep the shape a bit better. And you know what, we can do the same for these as well. So let's hide the armature for a second so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so these parts of the fingers are probably going to have no problem keeping the shape. You can drag them down a little bit, just with double tap G. Double tap G. These parts of the fingers is a different story, so we're going to do that. This, and drag these down with double tap G. Editing the mesh does mean that you won't be able to decimate it as smoothly as you would have otherwise, but you are saving some topology by doing it this way. It should also help the fingers keep their shape a bit better. At this point in the rigging, you'll see that this middle section is quite blocky, which I'm not too fond of. The only way I could think to possibly fix that, outside of pushing these closer together, would be rigging it slightly differently. So bring this up a bit with the blur tool, so that squishes a bit more. Here, bring this up a bit, so that squishes a bit more, and also bring this up a bit so that squishes a bit more. This would also have to be brought further along. Smooth this out, smooth this out. At that point, that's all you could do. And this is still a bit blocky for me, so I would go back here, blur that out a bit. Should move a bit better. There's lots of little things that you'll learn over time doing this over and over again. You'll find to be useful. Oh jeez, I haven't checked your current body. I don't know why this happens. I don't know how to turn it off. But if I figure out, I will tell you. I don't think I have this problem in I mean, I can just control and click to select it again. This is not as sharp as I want it. Let's add. Once you get to a certain point, it does start to fold over, but for the most part, it's not like a perfect S shape. Let's get this to be relatively straight. Side view. Let's move these arms out of the way, actually. Let's see how this bends forward and backwards. Okay, so it's very chunky. It's a very chunky bend. So the front I don't mind, this direction I don't mind, but I do mind this shape here. Okay, it's this kind of sharp angle that we want to pay attention to. Probably need to soften this a little bit at least. Might need to add some more topology. Rx. Okay, that does smooth it out a bit. Okay. Rx. Grab the hips. Gonna smooth this out too. Rx. Okay, it's now doing more squishing. You might need to play with the leg position to get the best version of that. Okay. Now this middle part is gonna be something else. Let's do this as a reasonable 90-degree angle. Okay, back to posing and seeing how it moves. So if we go to the set, I also do And so I'm thinking that this could do with some more topology, just for the sake of shape. Like the back is fine, how it deforms and stuff, but the center, it's always nice to not have it stretch so much. So let's stop pose mode and see what we can do about this. Go to edit mode. There's one line here. Let's see what another will do. Can I just do this? No, of course not. So let's try to convince this to move in a slightly different manner. If I do that and this, Alt V, Z. Okay, so at last they'll go in there. At last that'll go in there. This is the belly button. It doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, so that will change the flow of things. Now what about this? At last, I guess there'll just be a triangle in there. That's fine. Just want to see this, how this moves. I want to split here, and that goes straight up. Okay. So if I do this, K, that, Control R. Now there's another bit of topology in there. Now that can hopefully do the stretching, the rest will be fine. Now armature, body, weight paint. Let's rotate this up about 90 degrees, about there. We'll do -Z. See how this deforms. Okay. So now hopefully with the extra topology we can subtract, do front faces only, make that smaller, keep some of the mass in the center, a bit better than we had before. This kind of rigging is good if you want to have like a swimsuit or something. Since you really don't want the middle to be stretching everywhere. Okay, and now we have this awful shape, which I do think means that we can benefit from making the leg bone lower down. But we'll have to look at that. Will lower down help? It's one of the two. It's either lower down or higher up. Okay, let's see what bone position might aid this pose. So if we go to armature mode, edit, let's bring this down, so GZ, object mode, okay, so I just want to see where this turn is coming from. That bottom line is down here and the top is about half a square above. Let's try this again. GZ. Okay, that's even higher above. Check mode. Oh, edit mode. GZ. Okay. So now this is going below, okay. Okay, so I ended up just bringing it up a little bit. Hopefully that means this whole thing can pose a bit better. Let's see, so we'll do cats, we'll start and stop, file, save, let's go again to the weight paint mode. I can rotate this, I don't mind that bend, however, I do want to smooth it out a bit more than it has been. Pay attention to these shapes, RX, not too sharp, bend's fine, bed 3, take this about 90, see how the bottom looks, this is sticking out a bit, so we'll try to get these to disappear. Definitely don't want this to be pointy. So this view is fine. This view is, it's okay. Could need some work though. Object mode, let's move the back up a bit, so edit mode, Y, bring this up, GZ, connected only please, we'll grab this, Y, GZ. Okay, armature body, weight paint, R, Y, and wow, magically fixed. Okay. Just those subtle edits to the mesh saved us a lot of trouble. So, very minimal rigging in the crotch area. Oh, but I don't like how this moves. There must be some good middle ground. Okay, from this perspective, this sideways movement is a lot better, but this movement is very minimal. So when this goes up, this middle part only goes up so much. So after a while, it'll be lower than the rest of it, which is not ideal. There's definitely some middle position is a lot better as far as this rotation goes. The other option would be to add more to the center, so this pose would be better, but this pose wouldn't. This is kind of some sort of middle ground where this is not great, but it's not terrible. Like you can go above 90 with this and still be fine. Above 90. And then 45 is where it starts getting a bit odd. if you remember what I told you about what happens when you start weight painting stuff, the body now has all these vertex groups here. And if we go to head, it will have nothing. But if we take advantage of what we know about weight painting, we can just go into edit mode, hit A to select all, hit the plus here, add vertex group. We can rename this to HEAD with a capital H, hit assign, and then we can deselect, select to make sure everything is selected. Go back to object mode. This does need to have an armature for it to work, but if we go to armature and then pose mode, you'll see that the head now moves with the rest of the body. Now, it's not perfect, unfortunately, so I'll have to look at that. And I think that's just a product of me first. Let's stop pose mode for one. Let's get this head in a more stable position. So we'll apply mirror, apply subdivision, we'll add the mirror back, put it before the armature, hide it, edit mode, select the middle line, keep hiding it until it's all gone, hide, hide, let's turn on X-ray, view like this for now. Okay, there's still some more mirror center lines, so we'll hide that. Select this left side, X, delete, vertices, alt hide on the middle line, and then unhide the mirrored faces. Brilliant. Object mode. Now let's go to armature head, go to weight paint. It's all red, which is great, which is what we wanted. Let's go back to object mode. We'll control click on the armature, and then control click on the body. Weight paint. Okay, so the top parts are all red, which is what we want. Well, what about here? Okay, I see now. So let's subtract on these top two lines. Oof, if it'll let me. We want these to be black. Also, there's no need to force this mode. You can also just go back to viewport overlays, oopsie daisy, and then put 0 weights to none. It won't be black anymore, but it is very nice to see it in that mode where it doesn't have this blue confusing you. So let's have it on, and let's blur this middle line. Oof. Subtract on this line again. Just remember to paint the correct side, otherwise you'll be trying to paint something for ages, wondering why it won't show up. Okay, we can do this and do that. Okay, so we have this movement and this movement are as set. Okay, let's keep that as is. We'll do this a little bit. Reset. Okay, this isn't too bad. Let's quickly do a nice little trick to get the rest of this rigged quite quickly. Let's hide the armature for a moment. So this head is rigged. Let's hide the hair with H. We will apply the mirror on that. Oh, no, we don't have to do that actually. Let's apply the subdivision because there's nothing in the center. Now this is a very easy way to transfer the weights. You could also just click this, go into here, add head, or you could data transfer. Let's put this up top. We want to do vertex data, so we'll click that. We'll do vertex groups, so we'll click on that, and the source will be the head. Generate data layers, and then apply. So when we go in here, we'll have the head here. You can do that for a lot of things. We will be doing that again later down the line, but for now, we'll leave it be. We turn on the armature and go to pose mode. This should also be able to move together. Okay, so the pupils and the mouth stuff. Stop pose mode. Pupils. Well, I'm just gonna add this in here. Oh, actually, no, the pupils are slightly different. Pupils are slightly different. Let's do this. This is very bog standard. Edit mode. A. Vertex group add. HEAT. Assign. That works. Object mode. Pupils, we'll do armature and then control click on the pupils. Weight paint, we'll select this brush. Front face is off, we'll change this to add. Let's go to tool, make sure the mirror is selected, and we'll just paint this. You can have it on this mode too if you want. Click on the little bone and paint that too. So now these are both red. That one's red and this one's red. If you move this around, oh, how can I? Okay, let's do it this way. So if we RX, you'll see it go up and down. Let's do this mode actually. Go up and down. And RZ, left and right. It does come out of the head a little bit, so we might move that across. Let's do this here. Let's do this at the moment. So we'll go to edit mode. Ooh. Mode. Edit mode. We'll take this. Take the back. GX. Move it this way. We'll go back to pose mode. And we'll be able to see that the eye isn't popping out of the head anymore. RZ. Doesn't pop out of that side either. Oopsie daisy. RZ. RX. Oh, now it's all gone. RX. I'm trying to think. It doesn't come out of the bottom either, which is useful. Okay, so we'll do cats, stop pose mode. You can see these are now not so straight, they're at an angle. We'll do the same thing with the little pupil. So we'll do pose mode first. Let's see how this rotates. RX. This doesn't move as much. RZ. That also doesn't move as much. But it's a very small arc that I don't like. Let's see how it looks from the side a bit better. RE. Yeah, it's a very tiny arc, which means the bone is too close. So if we just go to edit mode, GY, and go to pose mode again, RX. The X is a tiny bit bigger, but not by much. Or is that? Okay, let's make that an even bigger arc. GY. And remember, mirror has to be on this whole time. We'll go to pose mode. RZ. Okay, that's a bigger arc. You'll see it's touching the side now. And this way, RX. Okay, edit mode. I want to bring this to the left now. This is so the the circle starts further this way, which means it will not kiss the eyelash as much. It will be easier to show. So if we go to pose mode, you'll see how it looks like that, right? If we do RZ, you'll see it kind of clips a little bit through the eyelash. I don't know what the best mode to show you this is. It's definitely not that. Okay, if we go to edit mode, GX, bring that across a bit, go to pose mode, it'll bring this back. Just imagine this is the center of a circle and this is the edge of the circle. You're moving the circle around and it will move differently based on that. So right now we have the body rigged, we have the head rigged, the eyelashes rigged. We just have a bunch of hair stuff. What I do want to do is make sure these are in a good position to be rigged. So we'll click the fringe, let's take a look at this. Subdivision is on, edit mode, that looks like that. I believe there's 2 bones in the front, right? So let's put a line here, Control E, mark, seam. This will just help with the rigging. We're gonna get rid of it later. Look at this like this. We will apply the subdivision, because I'm not going to edit the fringe anymore. We'll have a look at this, we'll apply the subdiv on this as well. So if we just apply the mirror right away on this, hopefully this is connected in the middle. I don't think it's connected in the middle. Okay, now it's connected. Right, so if we apply the subdiv, it splits it up. So if we don't do that first, we apply the mirror first, and then apply the subdiv, it'll stay together. Now, it's splitting stuff up is the least of your worries. It can change the shape significantly. It can make things at a weird angle. You don't really want that. Select this half, X, delete vertices, Alt H. Okay. So this is extra X, delete vertices, Alt H. Ooh, and let's add a mirror back, mirror modifier, and turn on clipping. Mode, we'll hide that. Is clipping on here? No. Is clipping on here? No. That's fine. These, because they're not connected, it doesn't matter. So let's just apply subdiv. What about these? Or apply subdiv. When doing hair, we always start with the head bone. So let's save this. Edit mode. Oopsie daisy, not edit mode. We want to do weight paint mode. Let's go here, viewport shading wireframe. We'll click the head bone. Brush, let's see what shows up here in Vertex Groups. Do add, full of projected, front one, here. There we go, head. Split this down. Let's select this side, and now you'll hit M, which goes into mask mode, and then we'll hit L on this side. We can also hit L on this side, or double tap A. We don't have to go into mask mode like that, we can just click this button here, print paint mask, and we can hit L like this. Now, we can do this thing. We can select half, we hit M, to select a different bone, and then M again Double tap A to deselect everything, and then L. Now we can paint on this side. Oh, you see, even though I'm painting over here, it won't paint over. So let's turn off the mask, and we can start blurring a bit better. We can even push it a little bit to this side, and here too. And the good thing about this is we should be able to have a better curve, but I might just bring this down further. Wait, let's see. Head, brush, let's bring this down, blur this here. Hopefully this should smooth out the curve a bit more, a little bit. But this will also help a lot. And I do like adding a little bit to this side, blurring it out. Same with this side. Adding a little bit and blurring it out. So it should be able to split a bit better down the center. If you're not sure what I'm doing with the brush to get different sizes, I'm hitting F, dragging and clicking at the preferred size. I'm just left clicking. Now that I've screwed up, this is the perfect time to teach you another trick. So, you accidentally selected the fringe L instead of the head when you're trying to rig. So now instead of this root red being here, it's now here. But you do know what this bone is called, and you know that you don't want this one, which is here, as it gets highlighted. We will just double click on that, rename it to HEAD, hit enter, and when we click off and back on, it's gone. And when we click on the head, it's here now, which is great. We can just continue blurring stuff until we get the shape that we're looking for. This will probably need to be gotten rid of. So let's just do that. Brush, subtract. It's gonna keep shrinking the more bones it's attached to. Yeah, let's keep this pretty independent, actually. Right, after a few hours, all that's left to do is make sure everything is rigged for the most part. So let's go to armature, let's go to cats, let's go to start pose mode, let's go to this mode, hit A to select all, change this, transform pivot point, change it to individual origins. So now everything will move on their own. Okay, so if we turn off show overlays and hide this for a moment, we can RZ and see that everything is moving together. Take note of anything that we don't like. For example, this might be a bit too blocky. I'd probably want to smooth that out. R, you can see the fingers moving. The hair starting to change. X, repeat, you can see the feet pointing. So let's go back to cats, stop pose mode. Let's take a look at what we can fix about this. Well, this does seem a bit smoother now. Okay, stop pose mode. Okay, so that's all rigged. That's all rigged. Took a hot minute, and I hope I explained things correctly. Weight paint is really troublesome because it's not something I can teach you step by step. The main part is to just make sure all the bones have mesh attached to them, all the mesh is attached to bones, and then refining, making sure the bends look natural, editing the topology if you need to, whether that's reducing the stretch by adding more topology, or reducing the pointiness by adding more topology, or moving things around, moving the bones around if they're not posing at the right angle, for example. This rigged file will be available on Patreon, of course. Next time we'll be painting, and then we'll do the Vrchat import so we can all test it. This is a great time to have full body, but there are some things we can do to avoid having to use that. I'll show you both. This series is brought to you by my Patreons, with special thanks to my grey clouds and grey skies, Eeyore HeeHaw, Silent K, Sowwatt, and Spud the cat. See you in the next class. Farewell. Back to bother me. Go on now, go. This model's poor.